Do you want to do that all again?
Fine. I hate you guys.
Hello and welcome to the 8th and special bonus episode of Cinema Decon, deconstructing and overthinking the movies of our younger years. My name is Steve, and on this podcast, we will revisit the movies that we keep in the back part of our minds as flawless masterpieces, untouchable by any criticism, and hopefully they stay that way. Join us as we rewatch a randomly selected movie from our list of 300 plus from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. With me on this journey is my co-host, the biggest villain of them all, Aaron. How are you tonight, Aaron?
I'm doing pretty good there, Steve. It's been another wonderfully busy week here in the IT world. Just happy to get back to discussing the important things in life, like movies.
Hear, hear.
So what we do here at Cinema Decon is a rewatch of an old movie with the hopes that they're still as good as we remember them. Then Steve and I meet up to talk about it, point out our high and low parts, and then give it a rank and place in our mega list. Except for today, where we're going to do absolutely none of the things that I just said.
Today, we will be discussing our favorite villains through the style of a good old-fashioned top 5 list. Sticking within the scope of our show, we are only looking at movies from the years 1980 through 2009.
And speaking of villains, Steve, I believe our podcast has been infiltrated by one of those infamous evildoers in all the galaxy and Beverly Hills. The reason Steve and I even know each other in the first place, our good friend Bud.
Well, hello, guys. Yeah, I'm Bud. I am the one, the only person to put these two individuals together to help bring this wonderful audience Cinema Decon. Glad I can help you guys out.
It is all Bud's fault.
Yep, he was playing the long game.
And it works beautifully.
15-year plan.
Oh, yes, at least.
Sitting in a foxhole overseas somewhere, like, I bet you someday we could put a podcast together.
During the days of HoochNet.
Idea. Yeah.
HoochNet, the first Wi-Fi in Baghdad.
Oh, yeah. The best one out there.
Until he got shut down by the man.
It's always fun to see Steve once a month as he pulls out that nice white envelope full of cash just to pay his internet bill.
So for some context there.
Yeah, pay his internet bill, air quotes.
As I was a soldier, Bud was a contractor. We were both working on the network there in the Baghdad airport, and we provided a service to the soldiers, which was wireless. Bud provided the actual internet drop, and I provided some of the equipment of where to place said internet drop and spread the wireless across the campus. I took no money.
You know, statute of limitations is over, Steve. You can stop lying.
Right.
I should have taken money. But alas, I did not.
Now, HoochNet was yeah. I mean, HoochNet at the end of the day was just a simple way to provide a internet service to not only the contractors but also the troops that are stationed out there to give us the ability to communicate with our friends and our family and all that back at home. And that really wasn't possible when we first got out there, at least not in the traditional sense. And so, we as contractors and with Steve's help with his folks, we were able to put something together and give that service to everybody that's stationed out there. So, and it was all done at cost. We didn't really make any money on it in the grand scheme of things, but we bought the bandwidth, we got a satellite provider, we distributed the wireless, we did it all, and it was great. Until the man shut us down, of course.
That was as raw dog a network as you can get. I mean, put together. 550 cord and 100 mile an hour tape, and until the powers that be shut us down, and
exactly
they brought in their own formal commercial internet. Yeah,
it was literally a hostile takeover by the government.
Quite literally, yes.
Yeah, it specifically was. Give us a percentage or close up shop.
Yeah, they said, we have the first right of refusal. Take it or leave it. And I was like, okay, I guess we're going to shut it down.
We're leaving it.
Let me walk away with my pockets full of cash.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. And that was my that was where I got to know Bud. And then when I returned from overseas, Bud hired me. I met Aaron, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for the backstory on my side, Bud and I have known each other since 1996, 1995.
1995.
From high school back in wonderful Wichita, Kansas. So, and moved around quite a few places. Yeah, moved around quite a few places, including a couple other cities in the U.S., as well as several cities over in Afghanistan.
Yes, I can actually say I've traveled the world with both of these fools.
Yeah, still can't get rid of us.
You're right.
If our eager listeners are lucky, maybe there'll be a couple of pictures posted. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on to the next segment. So I'll play my little montage in there. Did you guys listen to that?
Yeah, it was
yes,
good.
I liked it.
It was good. It made me redo my list again. Thank you, by the
way. I will admit I may have changed. I changed mine slightly after the first one because it just reminded me of something. I did not update it after the second one, but I was tempted.
It's showtime.
Cable guy!
Hello, Peter. What's happening?
Perhaps I'm not as stupid as I am ugly, Commander.
Shogun of Harlem.
And a fly!
I'm your #1 fan.
I want to know more about what you do here.
Study hard, and you will be rewarded. Fail to do so, and the consequences may be severe.
You are now firing a gun at your imaginary friend near 400 gallons of nitroglycerin! And who loves you? And who do you love?
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Relax to the mellow sounds of the rain on KPPX.
Now, this really pisses me off to no end.
That luscious tan, those ruby lips and hair color, so natural, only your Undertaker knows for sure.
I'm looking for generals! What do I got? Foot soldiers! I want Dick Tracy dead!
Well, I was first in line until the little hairball was born.
I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon!
I'll crush you with my bare hand!
Customer's always an asshole. Illuminate.
I am the servant of the power behind the nothing. Oh, die, you punk scum!
Oh, yes. They float, your teeth. They float.
It's all about the greater good.
The greater good.
Ah, you breaking my bars here, huh? You breaking my bars.
Never fear. I is here.
Sweep the leg. You have a problem with that?
The only thing we serve is tongue. No.
Would you say I have a plethora of piñatas?
Okay. Banker.
Cry havoc! And let's slip the dogs of war.
In spite of all his imperfections, I'm a fan of man!
And when Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer.
You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
End of line.
So, guys, before we get into our top 5, what makes a good villain?
Oh, there are so many things because there's several different types of villains. There's the villain that's just flat out the most evil person you have seen in the world. If you meet them in person, the first thing you'd want to do is punch them in the face. There are the villains that are, character-wise in the context of whatever movie or show they're in, they're obviously the bad guy, but you can't help but root for them. And then there are villains that basically steal the show. I mean, to me, a villain is what makes most of the good movies. A movie's better when it's got a good bad guy.
You're right. And even a movie with a villain as the primary primary character, those are some of the best movies out there. A villain has to be cunning, ruthless, show no mercy, but doesn't have to be overt with all those characteristics. He can be stoic and quiet and very polite. There's so many different ways. But one of the things that I put on my list as far as what makes a good villain, though, is definitely screen presence.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the best villain in the world, but if the actor is not putting forth a good performance, then it's just not going to make the list. And like Aaron said, it brings down the movie.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really like about villains is the calculated villain, the one that has the plan in place, that is very strategic in their process, but at the same time, they're so strategic and they're so calculated that they never have one worry that anything could ever go wrong. And so I love those types of villains because they show the amount of intelligence that's necessary to be a good villain as well.
Exactly. And as a good counterpoint to that, when we did Hackers, we talked about the Plague and how horrible a villain he was.
Exactly.
He had a good plan, but his persona and his actions and the way he executed it were just flat out dumb.
Just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it brought down the movie. He's
a good actor, award-winning Fisher Stevens and all. But yeah, he belonged in a different movie.
He is Oscar winner Fisher Stevens.
Yeah. So we had a couple ideas on how we were going to present this. The first thing that came to mind when we're all basically going to start out and go through our own personal top 5 list of our 5 favorite villains out of this movie, out of this timeline range. Granted, with the fact that we all know each other pretty well, we all have roughly the same taste in movies. There's probably going to be some overlap to where we're going to pick the same people. So the first idea I had was to go around and see if we can do a little guess as to how many overlaps, how many duplicates we're going to run into out of these 15 names that we're going to go through. Me personally, looking at my list, I've got a list of 7, so I'm taking the top 5 of those. So I've got 2 that are honorable mentions, but we'll discuss that. But out of those top 5, and then based on what you guys are saying, I'm thinking I know at least one of mine is going to be repeated. So I'm going to guess 3 out of the total list. What about you, Steve?
I'm flickering between 3 and 5 because in our conversations we've all noted that because of our similar tastes, there is the possibility of overlap, the inevitability. The inevitability is there.
It is your destiny.
Breaking my balls, huh? You're breaking my balls. So I think we did make an effort to not necessarily go with the main ones, all 5. So I think we're going to have some oddballs out there, which I hope we do. I'm going to go with 4, though. I think there's going to be at least 4 overlaps between the 3 of us.
All right. What say ye, bud?
Oh man, see, that was the number I was going to go with, was 4.
You can still choose it. You can both lose equally. I don't care. We're not doing Prices Right. We're not doing Prices Right rules. You can't just bid $1. So it's whoever's closest.
Why not? That makes it fun.
Well, because $1 for, first of all, is a denomination of money, and that doesn't make any sense here. And for another, screw you.
I will say since Steve went with 4, I've just got to go the polar opposite then and just say 2. I think it'll be 2 overlaps.
We got a wide range. I kind of got screwed on that one then, so I got to hit it right on the money.
No.
Note to self: don't go first.
All right, so I mean, since we got that figured out, I guess the next piece is to actually discuss the top 5, and part of doing that is going to be to try to see if we can guess who this villain could be by naming off a quote from the movie that we're referencing that villain in. So, what do you guys think about that? Do you think we should go down that road?
I like it. I would say bonus points for nailing whatever accent or demeanor. So I'm not entirely sure how Steve's going to go.
See, Aaron, you can't just give yourself bonus points just because you can do fancy accents, and we can't.
I can do what I want. I am above the law.
But the accent, if nailed, will give it away.
And
True.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to stump people. I'm trying to help you guess. That's the thing. I want you guys to know it. So I want to try to do it. I also want people to make fun of me on the internet for my terrible accents, but that's beside the point.
So Bud, since you took ownership of that particular idea, why don't you go first with your number 5?
Wow, see, I was going to say whoever's oldest goes first, but all right, fine.
No.
All right. Well, then this is going to be really interesting. So, and to kind of preface, my villains here is I wanted to make sure that we were choosing villains that are not only in my top 5, but also are unique in a sense. So unique to me in a sense, and trying to stay with the concept of not having too much overlap, because I know what these two like, and I know for a fact we're going to have a little overlap. So my number 5. And here's the quote. Endo, meet Mr. Martin Riggs. Endo here has forgotten more about dispensing pain than you and I will ever know.
So Riggs, that's Lethal Weapon. That's is that Gary Busey?
It's Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
It's Gary Busey.
I have no idea that dude's name.
No idea. But that's it's been so long since I've seen the first one.
What's his name?
Mr. Joshua.
Mr. Joshua.
That's right. Yep. Yes.
Oh, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Gary Busey.
No. He's a great villain. Hell, he's almost a great villain in real life. Are you kidding?
And that might actually have been the last. That actually might have been the last time Gary Busey played a normal person.
True.
In all the movie roles that I've seen Gary. Well, which one's older?
Yeah, which one is older? Those who came out around the same point in time, right?
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Yeah, we can Google that later. Please don't correct us on the internet.
1991.
Oh, for Lethal Weapon?
No, 1991 was
Point Break.
Point Break. Lethal Weapon was 1987.
So all right, you got me there. All right, Stevie, your turn.
All right. For my top 5, I definitely leaned a lot on screen presence, whether that particular villain really, really helped the movie. And without that actor and that villain written that way, the movie just wouldn't happen. All right, here we go. My number 5. In character as best I can. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Hold on. I lost the quote. All right. You get behind me, we all profit. You challenge me, we all go down. There was one Napoleon, one Washington, one me.
I know exactly who that is.
Aaron?
That is shit. What is? I know the movie. I'm trying to think of it. It's Big Boy, right?
Yeah. Big Boy Caprice.
I just actually I recently watched
Al Pacino.
That.
Yeah.
Al Pacino from Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry. What the hell? Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy.
That's what I meant. Dirty Harry, Dick Tracy, same movie.
I love that movie. I watch it strictly for Al Pacino.
I'm actually waiting. That one's on our list, right? I'm waiting for that to come around.
It's definitely on there.
Yeah. He is a really good screen presence. He's probably the best character in that movie, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, he's just hamming it up from moment one and just enjoying himself. And as far as the character goes, he's psychotic, he's methodical, he's cunning. He's for the good, 3/4 movie, he is one step ahead of Dick Tracy until Dustin Hoffman's character spills the beans, and then the tablespoons. Yeah. He has
Which technically Dustin Hoffman spilled the beans like early in the movie. It's just not revealed that he spilled the beans.
This is true.
Later.
This is true. Mumbles. Yeah.
So he was still. So yeah, there's a little wiggle room there.
All right, you're up there.
Yes, an excellent villain. All right. So following in that line, My top 5, like I said, I ended up with a list of top 7, and it was really hard for me to pick out of these. So I kind of went away from one that was really mainstream that I assumed was going to be overlap, and went for one that went for 5 that were just like Steve said, there's some really, really great screen presence and the perfect actors or actresses for the roles. These are the ones where if I see this character, they can only be played by this person. I can't imagine it being played at anywhere near as well if they were to change point. So, and obviously because of that, the movies that they were in would not have been anywhere near as good had they not, that specific actor or actress played those roles. So for my number 5 on this list, I'm pretty sure I know Steve's going to get this. Bud might get this. Yeah. I just know Steve's going to get this because I know he's seen this recently. Who loves you and who do you love?
I know it.
Mm-mm.
Because this guy went in and out of my top 5.
It's time to play The Running Man.
Eamon Killian.
Wow.
Richard Dawson as Eamon Killian on 1987's The Running Man.
Wow, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
He was my original number 5. Him and Big Boy went back and forth. Without Richard Dawson, The Running Man is a terrible movie.
Yeah. And it's funny because this was this was him playing a sadistic game show host prior to him actually become a real life game show host. So somebody watched The Running Man and his evil cast character and said, you know what? Give that man Family Feud.
And his Family Feud is my favorite of all the.
Exactly.
Of all of them. I always love that one. Excellent pick.
All right, Butters, back to you.
I have a last name here that if I mess this up, we may have to redo this part again. So you guys are aware. I think I know it.
It's pronounced Vader.
It's pronounced Vader.
It's pronounced Vader. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Dutch for father.
Faza?
What's a Furger? Darth Furger? What's a Furger?
All right, I'm gonna make a shot at this name. We'll see if I get this right.
Well, maybe we'll get the quote and you won't have to butcher it.
Yeah, I think you guys will get the quote. I think you'll know I think you'll definitely know the movie and possibly the character, but I don't think you'll know who the actual actor is, and it's the actor's last name that's very unique and can be mispronunciated very easily. So we'll give this a shot.
All right. Bring it on.
All right. Here we go. 1991. I'll give you that. All right. Here's your hint. It happened in 1991. Nope. It happened in 1991.
All right.
10 pounds of C4 is on the way to the Coliseum right now. It's ironic, don't you think? It's ironic, don't you think, that this bomb's going to be delivered to Baynard's by his own personal bodyguards. After his death, the police will receive a photograph of you, Joseph, handing over the briefcase, and I blame you for the crime. And they'll believe it too, because they know what a fan of Baynard's you are.
You know, I thought I knew what it was.
I don't.
It's the Banyards that threw me off. I was until you said Banyards.
Well, if I did say Banyards, what was your guess?
The first thing I was thinking of was Arlington Road and
Nope.
Tim Robbins.
Nope.
Yeah, and then when you said Banyards, I knew that wasn't it.
Is this the Last Boy Scout?
That's it right there.
Oh my God! Yeah, I haven't seen that in so long. I totally forgot that.
All I remember from Last Boy Scout was that one kickoff. He runs it back, and then the guy shoots himself in the end zone. That's my memory of the Last Boy Scout. But I think there might be a climax on the roof of the stadium and stuff. Maybe, maybe something.
Yeah. So the villain is Milo. Was the villain, and he was the blonde-haired guy that was working for the bad guys. That was very calculated in trying to destroy Bruce Willis in the process. So the whole point of that quote was they were getting ready to send 10 pounds of C4 to the Coliseum during a football game and blow up the guy Baynard, which is the owner of that football team, by his own personal bodyguards. And so it was Bruce Willis's job to obviously prevent that, which caused what you were talking about, Steve, where the guy fell from the Coliseum into the rotors of a helicopter.
I remember
and so
that.
on and so forth.
Yeah. And I remember blonde guy, but I haven't seen Last Boy Scout. Jackie.
Yeah. And so the actor's name is Taylor Nygren.
Yeah. Now
Taylor
I see why you
Nygren.
said that.
Yeah.
I got to look that up.
Nigron.
Oh, Taylor Negron. Yeah.
Negron?
Negron.
Yeah.
Negron.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Negron? I had it Nigron.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I recognize that guy. I've seen him in a lot.
Yeah, he's been in lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I did not know that Shane Black wrote The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, I remember him the most from Nothing But Trouble.
Oh, yes.
Banker.
All right. You ready for my number 4?
Let's do it, Steve.
Son.
All right.
Oh, he's loosening up, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Yeah.
Y'all can't see this, but it's happening right now.
Look who's got the front row seats for the Mexican hat dance now, just like a bunch of spiders in a monkey cake.
God, I don't know. I recognize the quote. I just can't I can't picture the character.
I even butchered the quote. It's spiders in a birthday cake.
Oh, well, that changes everything. No. I'm not coming up with anything. Bud, you got anything?
No.
All right. I'll probably cut this out, but Aaron, I'm going to...
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Dan Aykroyd's in this?
He is.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Nothing But Trouble.
It is.
I literally... Oh, now
and we were just talking about Tyler Negron. I kept my mouth shut.
That's awesome.
As soon as he said Dan Aykroyd's in this, and I was like, wait.
Judge J.P.
That's all I can remember was Dan Aykroyd, yeah.
Okay, do I get any precognition quotes? Because I quoted him before you quoted him, sort of.
You kind of did, yeah. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Judge Volkenheimer, I mean, some people will say Nothing But Trouble is a terrible movie. I am not one of them. I am looking forward to watching that one for the podcast.
I have never heard of anybody.
No, that one's good.
You don't want that kind of negativity in your life.
It was Dan Aykroyd's pleasure or personal pride project, and he wrote it, directed it, starred in it, and it was one of those movies that kind of weirded the shit out of me as a kid, all because of that character. And then as an adult, it's just
the twins.
It's hilarious.
The twins, yes.
He's got the dick for the nose, and it's great. He's making Digital Underground and Tupac sing for him.
And sitting there playing the organ with Digital Underground.
Yeah, but from a villain standpoint, the man is ruthless and what's the word I'm looking for? Persistent. He does not stop.
He will not stop.
His hatred of bankers drives the entire movie. And anybody, I mean, he's this personal family revenge from like decade or centuries past, and poor Chevy Chase and crew get caught in the lot, and it's all about Dan Aykroyd's villain that makes that entire.
Yep.
All right.
No, that was good. Good pick.
All right. My number 4 is another favorite of mine. That's not. I wouldn't say he's a typical quote unquote villain. I mean, he's definitely a villain. He's just an odd one. And I've already given it away by telling you it's a he, but we'll go with it. It is a long quote, so bear with me. I hate warriors. Too narrow-minded. I'll tell you what I do like, though. A killer. Dyed-in-the-wool killer. Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough. Now, a real killer, when he picked up the ZF-1, would have immediately asked about the little red button on the bottom of the gun. I'd say, I see Bud's face. He's turning.
I know what it is.
Know this.
I know what it is. I'll wait for Steve.
Is that Inglourious Basterds?
No.
It is not.
No.
Negative.
Not that Brad Pitt is the villain in that, but that was just, you threw the Southern accent on there.
No, but fair point. I'll give you that.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Bud, what's your pick?
Well, let me see here. Since I'm going next, this is funny. That is Zorg, Gary Oldman from The Fifth Element, 1997.
Oh,
Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg. I love that character.
What's interesting about that, Aaron, is your quote. Let me read you my quote. I'll tell you what I do like. A killer, a dyed-in-the-wool killer, cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough. A real killer. When he picked up the ZF-1, you would have immediately asked about the little red button on the bottom of the gun.
So does that count as 2 overlaps? Because
that was my number 3.
And the frickin' quote there.
That was my number 3.
That's a dumb movie, man. That's pretty awesome. I looked at like 3 or 4 quotes, and that's the one I picked because I love that. I love that little spiel of him.
Oh yeah.
But he's just all he is he's like a businessman. Just happens to be in business with the most evil thing in the universe, and that's all he's worried about. He's basically one of those chaos engines who just wants to break everything so he can rebuild it.
Yeah, within The Fifth Element, he has no real place in the plot. He's just there causing trouble. And in a movie with so many, known presences as far as, Bruce Willis and
Mila Jovovich.
Mila and who's the MC? Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah.
Come in. He would be my favorite character from the movie, but
with all those, Gary Oldman is able to stand out as this outstanding actor playing this super odd role.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, that's probably my favorite role from him.
Here's my take on Gary Oldman's character. It really he's the villain, but he's really not the villain. He's really the proxy of the villain.
Yeah,
the real villain doesn't have a voice in that movie, and so therefore he portrays that villain's voice.
Yeah, because isn't there a moment where he gets like reprimanded and he starts bleeding from the forehead, and it's never really explained?
Yeah. He gets a call from
Shadow.
From Mr. Shadow, exactly. Mr. Shadow is
the darkness or the evil or whatever. I can't remember what it was called. It was like the darkness that was going to envelop the universe, and it calls his secretary, and she has to transfer the call to him. It's Mr. Shadow on line 1.
It all works though. Gary Oldman's great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Steve.
Oh,
your turn.
That was your number 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
All right. It's all about the greater good.
All right. Not giving us much to work with there.
Wow. Name that tune.
All right. After that phrase, picture a circle of people going, the greater good.
I remember the movie.
Then you've got Simon Pegg yelling, how can this be for the greater good?
Definitely know the movie.
And then the group of people, the greater good.
I can't remember the villain.
Oh, the villain is the group
but I know the
people.
movie. It's Hot Fuzz, right?
It's Hot Fuzz. The villain of the movie, and this is spoilers. Close your ears, anyone who hasn't seen it. It's a movie everyone should see because it's one of my top 3 movies ever.
Oh yes.
But if you haven't seen it, the villain is the Neighborhood Watch Association, the HOA of this little British neighborhood. And in order to clean up said neighborhood, they kill people and for the stupidest things. And they're ruthless. They think they're doing the right thing. They have no remorse, and it's crazy. And it's all so thought out and methodical. I love that movie.
We were recently talking about really relatable movie plots. And this one, and just this one with the HOA. You know, everybody's thought it at one point.
My wife is the HOA president, does not endorse Hot Fuzz.
Not on paper anyway.
No.
Not officially. Oh yeah, no.
Their control of the town and their manipulation of Simon Pegg. It's a great reveal at the end. So great movie. Sorry for anybody out there that I spoiled it for.
Hey, if they haven't watched it by now, it's their own fault. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Exactly. Do it now.
Well, not now.
Or better yet, go to our website and put in a movie request for us to do it next.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, that feature's there.
They could do that, but it's actually already on our list.
It is, but they can cut the line.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I get for not paying attention. I do that sometimes.
For a small donation. For car.
To the cause.
All right, Aaron, you're number 3.
Well, since we played Skip-Mo with Bud, because he stole my pick. My next one is by far one of the best characters in this movie that I've seen, let alone I'll give you the hint that this character was in multiple movies, but this is the one that stands out. This is also, I think, one of the only ones that falls within our timeline. I'm going to do my best not to butcher the accent. I'm fairly certain, because of the accent and because of a piece of the quote, you guys should know this. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the overlaps, because this is the one I assumed would be overlapped. As I told you, Mr. Potter, naughty children deserve to be punished.
Deep down, you know that you deserve to be punished, don't you, Mr. Potter? Perhaps this is my number 2.
All right, so I'm winning this game already. First,
Dolores Umbridge is the worst villain in all of Harry Potter. That woman.
Oh, by far.
Oh,
Voldemort has nothing.
She gets under your skin. Just watching her and just, oh my God.
This is one of those characters that is so evil and vile that you just instinctively want to punch them in the face as soon as you see them. You don't even want him to talk. I mean, Voldemort, I'd at least have a cup of tea with. Dolores, no.
And you know that everyone out there has had at least one, elementary school teacher who was similar as far as the high almighty old lady that no matter what, she was right, and you just had to accept it, even though she's so wrong. Gets under your skin.
Oh yes, yeah. It was so satisfying in the Order of the Phoenix to see her finally get carried away.
Yes.
Only to see her ass come right back in Deathly Hallows.
Oh yeah, she was at the Ministry
as if nothing had ever happened, and she was right back. She was right back in power, and she was right back to her old shit. She just wasn't at the school anymore. She was back in the Ministry. And as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh god damn, this bitch.
Hey, that's when you know you're a good villain.
I've read the books, and I can't remember if they explained in the books what happened to her. I want to say I think she did end up in Azkaban after the whole thing for the books.
Oh, I can't remember.
But I know they didn't explore that in the movies. They didn't really go into what happened to her after that scene in Deathly Hallows 1. But I think in the books they did, or at least in like maybe the other lore. I don't know.
So the actress that plays her, Imelda Staunton, she's actually going to be playing Queen Elizabeth in the next couple seasons of the older Elizabeth.
I can definitely see that. Hopefully she's not as evil. And that's one of those. That's another thing is this is one of those roles where it would be hard to see unless there was a lot of makeup involved in either direction. It's hard to separate her from this character, I would think. Because there are some actors and actresses, when they play a good character like this, or especially an evil one, it's hard to see them. It's like the Brenda problem from 90210, where everybody started hating on Shannon Doherty just because they didn't like her character from 90210.
One mention on Dolores Umbridge is the introduction of her character in the movie is fantastic, because it's the anti save the cat moment. Instead of doing something good, so someone's good, they do something bad. It's not necessarily something bad, but she interrupts Dumbledore during his speech to the class. She gives her a little
bitch,
and Dumbledore gives her a side eye.
Oh, that little smirk. Oh, that little smirk. That shit.
Yeah, great villain introduction.
All right,
agreed.
Where are we at? That was your number 3,
what do you got,
right?
bud? What do you got for number 2? That was my number 3. So we're down to
we're on 2s now.
We're on
number
2s.
2.
Terrible 2s.
All right. This movie came out in 1999. All right. You are not your job. You are not how much money you have in the bank. You are not the car you drive. You are not the contents of your wallet. You are not your fucking khakis. You're the all singing, all dancing crap of the world.
And you are now shooting bullets at your imaginary friend for the 400 gallons of nitroglycerin.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Durden.
Tyler Durden. I just recently rewatched that too. That is a classic, and that's one of those that's not your typical villain because he's not even real.
Well, yeah, and so that kind of goes to the next question. I mean, from a screenplay perspective, we know who Tyler Durden was played by, but from a story perspective,
it's still the narrator.
Yeah, it's
exactly
the narrator.
Exactly.
Apologies to anyone who hasn't seen the 1999 movie Fight Club.
And if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
If you haven't seen it, why are you listening to this podcast?
But my big thing with Fight Club was from a villain standpoint, it's this was different in a lot of different regards with a lot of different stories. This was more about a mental struggle than anything else, and how wildly out of control that became. And it's interesting when you see a story like that, because the villain within yourself really kind of makes you sit back and kind of think about that story.
And it's something where if you have never seen the movie before and you're watching it through the first time, it has a completely different effect than if you're watching it again and you already know the secret of how Tyler is
exactly
the narrator's alternate persona. And it's a whole different take on it. So you can get two different experiences from watching it.
Yeah, and it's the perfect movie where you watch the first time, you get to that cliffhanger where you realize what's really happening, and then all of a sudden you get done with the movie and you're like, wait. I want to watch that again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those very few movies to where you immediately want to watch it again, just to figure the rest out, to see if it all makes sense now that you know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it does, and that's the greatest part about it. Like, you go back and rewatch the movie for the second or third or fourth time, and like you still catch little things that are just it'd be little Easter eggs in that entire movie that really played that whole storyline.
Yeah, and it's some of the best dialogue that
the dialogue alone
Brad Pitt has ever done. That's some great dialogue.
I read that book a long time ago. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and then David Fincher directed it masterfully. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Brad Pitt is Tyler Durden. Yeah, one that was in and out of my top 5, but not in it. Sorry.
It was in and out of mine too, but I finally decided I was like, I'm going to leave it in there because I truly believe that's my number 2.
I was certain that one was going to be repeated.
Yeah, so I was expecting an overlap with that one.
Well, you already did overlap my 2, so move on to here, past to Aaron.
Oh, so that was your number.
My 2 was
your number 2. So we're at 2.
Yeah,
your
your number 2.
All right. So we've got two overlaps. All right. My number 2. Now, I haven't seen this movie in a while, so I don't exactly remember the cadence of this quote. It was also hard to pick a quote from this one because this villain was not speaking in a lot of the movie. So a lot of the quotes are back and forths. They're not single quotes that you can just pull out.
Dialogue.
A lot of it is dialogue in a conversation that you'd have to have 2 people. And that's not what I was going for. I was going for a single quote. So may not get this off this quote, but it is a good quote. So for my number 2 from 1997, wanting people to listen, you can't just tap them on the shoulder anymore. You have to hit them with a sledgehammer. And then you'll notice you've got their strict attention.
Oh.
Is it 7?
Bada bing.
That's what it is.
Doe.
Yes.
Played by
it's
Kevin
John
Spacey.
Doe.
Another David Fincher masterpiece.
Ooh.
I took that one off my list.
Oh,
that was number 4 on my list, and I took it off. Yeah.
Oh man, he is by far my favorite character from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Morgan Freeman in there, and his back and forth with Brad Pitt. But for not being in the majority of the movie, Kevin Spacey stole that show once he finally showed up.
Oh yeah.
When I saw that for the first time, I really didn't know who Kevin Spacey was. I hadn't seen Usual Suspects. And his recent troubles aside, we're just talking actors and characters that he played. We won't get into the stupid shit that he's done.
Yeah. He basically he wins that movie. This is one of those movies where the bad guy truly wins as far as what the villain was attempting to accomplish. Part of it, he was, I guess, clinically insane, but and to the sole fact, he did not believe he was insane, but he did acknowledge that it was easier for them to label him insane.
True.
He was very intellectual. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He was basically, flat out to punish people, including himself, which was part of his whole plan.
But if there's ever someone to be able to take on that label of psychopath, it is that character. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, someone who has no remorse, no empathy, but yet able to function in society and do everything he needs to do just normal with full control of his abilities. That man was dangerous and amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Just when the reveal of when they went into his apartment and found all the notebooks of all the things he was literally writing out, every single thought that went into his head. And there were, thousands of them notebooks. I was watching like holy crap.
When the guy I don't know which sin it was, but the guy that was in the bed and he's still alive.
Oh, Sloth.
Oh, Sloth.
He basically kept him there for a year.
Yeah. The fact that he did that. It's one thing to go and murder someone in a movie. Okay. Yeah, you're a bad guy. But this guy was able to methodically do that for a year and keep him alive for that moment. That's sick.
Exactly. And it was exactly 1 year, and that was the other thing. Is he knew when they were going to be over there. That was crazy. So, and that's another one. That's one of those roles where it's, for a while, it was hard to see him as anything other than that guy. Now, obviously, he's played some other good roles where he was villain or sort of a villain or just a bad guy or an asshole. But nothing as far as villain for him, for Kevin Spacey at least, I think tops John Doe.
Good pick. That's a good one.
All right. And now we are on to the final round of Triple Cinema Jeopardy.
The number ones.
And we have how many overlaps? Just two?
So far, just two. We'll see. So right now, Butters is in the lead. We need one more for AA Ron to take the crown.
I don't think you guys are going to overlap on this one. So this movie came out in 1987. It was a comedy with a great villain in it, and it's probably one of the very few roles that this actor played as a villain. Here's my quote: "I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate."
Yeah. This is by far one of my favorite comedies of all time.
That is my number one favorite movie ever.
That's one of those. He's not the evil, despicable, vile villain in the Triple Sense, but he is the villain.
Yeah,
he's definitely the bad guy, but he's the comic relief bad guy.
He's a stooge. Yeah. He's a
and that's the other thing. He's not the biggest bad guy. Mel Brooks is the biggest bad guy, but he's just the political bad guy.
If anyone doesn't know, we're talking about Dark Helmet from Spaceballs.
just in case.
Yeah, played by Rick Moranis, the one dude that never plays a villain role.
Oh, yeah.
Never.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Great flick. That's one movie I can probably quote all day long without any trouble.
I like it from the screen presence point of view because it subverts the whole Vader impersonation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got, the Weasley nerdy Rick Moranis, from Ghostbusters and Little Shop of Horrors. You're like, oh.
Yeah. Plus the fact that he's Darth Vader with a tie and shorter than everything.
Exactly.
I love that look with the little black on black tie on as part of his suit.
I was not playing with my dolls again.
And from oh god, I love that movie. Good.
I figured you guys would like that.
That's a great pick.
All right, Steve, what do you got?
Okay, my number one villain on my list, personal to me and many people that are in the workforce today. Next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day, so you can go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Well, I'm sure you know what it is, Aaron. I know what it is.
This is Lumberg, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
There you go. Oh yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and come in on Saturday, That'd be great.
So, Peter.
Peter, what's happening?
That man embodies so many former bosses.
Oh yes. And played perfectly by Gary Cole. That is one of his best roles.
Oh yeah, by far.
The corporate cubicle mundane atmosphere, and he just epitomizes everything with his coffee mug and his tie, and just his superior voice, and how he trolls Milton the entire movie is so cruel. Even after he knows Milton's no longer getting paid, he's still asking him to move his desk to the basement and taking his stapler.
Exactly.
It's masterful.
I'm going to set the building on fire.
Excuse me. Well, Milton was probably my favorite character from that movie. Gary Cole is definitely, he's definitely the big villain in that.
Great villain, my favorite.
Oh yeah, no, good pick.
Oh, such a good pick.
Go to you, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
All right, so it's down to one. Unfortunately, I will have to concede the betting rules because we do not have an overlap. Bud wins that category.
Yeah.
For my number one pick, this was always my number one pick. This has been one of my favorite movies of all time, and this villain is one of the best roles I've ever seen him in. This is one of those movies where, without this actor playing this villain, the movie would not be anywhere near as good. So I'll see if I can give this quote some justice. To the last, I grapple at thee. From hell's heart, I stab at thee. For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee.
I got it.
Say it really loud. Scream it really loud.
Khan! Well done.
Did you think I would not remember?
I figured you were either going Khan or Vader.
Yeah.
It had to be one or the other.
Vader's a great bad guy. He's not my favorite bad guy from the Star Wars universe. The reason I didn't go with my favorite bad guy in the Star Wars universe is because he's my favorite bad guy from the TV shows and not from the movies. So since we're covering movies, I didn't go that route. But that would have been Darth Maul. But definitely Khan. Ricardo Montalban he nailed it.
Yeah. Wrath of Khan, great movie, and the whole him playing the super soldier with the superior intellect and trying hell bent on revenge. He's just solely that's his driving thing.
Yeah. He knew he was smarter and stronger than everybody, but he still felt he had to prove it because he was bested once. He had to get back.
His arrogance got the best of him.
Exactly. And so many times where, they got quote unquote rescued by accident and they took over the ship. They could have just left, but no, he had to get back at Kirk.
This is the one.
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, this is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan from 1982.
Was this the one where the opening scene was at Yosemite? Where Kirk was climbing
that's 5, man.
That's 5? Oh, wow.
Yeah, where they're climbing.
That tells you how far off I am.
Yeah, that's like the worst one. That's horrible. The opening is the Kobayashi Maru with Kirstie Alley. Mm-hmm. But yeah, its opening is Kirstie Alley on the bridge of the simulator doing the Kobayashi Maru and failing.
That's right.
And then he walks in because that's when we realize it's a simulation.
Yeah.
He could have just left the planet, but he had to get back at Kirk. He could have, and then they raided and stole the Genesis torpedo, and they had all the power, and they could have just left. And even his crew at that point was starting to question him, but wouldn't dare challenge him. And he still had to get back to Kirk, and it ultimately did him in.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man,
at hell's heart, I stab at thee.
Yeah, he's still almost won in the end because of how crippled their ship was. That is still one of my favorite movies of all time.
Looking forward to watching that one again.
Oh, yeah.
So our top 5s are done. Let's see. I do have a couple of honorable mentions that got booted from my list. I'm not going to go into detail, and I'm sure you guys got a couple as well.
Exactly.
But the ones that got booted, that were in and out of my list were John Milton from Devil's Advocate, Al Pacino again.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Damon Killing, which was already mentioned. Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
David Lopan.
Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that one.
She was on my short list.
And Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
There you go.
Still the best musical of all time.
Starring Rick Moranis, yet again.
Exactly. For me, some of the honorable mentions would be Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastards.
That's my honorable mention.
The Joker from The Dark Knight, who pretty much stole that movie. And, of course, the famous Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs.
Of course.
Who is not the villain of that movie.
But he's a villain, and he's the better villain. He's a good villain. He's just not the villain. He's not a villain other than the second one. He's not the villain.
It puts the lotion on its skin. That's.
Or it gets the hose again.
I should have put that in the montage.
He's not the main bad guy. Yeah, but upstaged by Sir Anthony Hopkins. Because it's Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, he actually, I think he won an Oscar for a very little amount of screen time for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I had Tyler Durden on my short list as well.
Yeah, and so my honorable mentions are everything you guys we've already talked about today. I mean, I'm dead serious. It's like mine was Kevin Spacey from Seven, Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastards.
That's a bingo.
Yeah, and I had a couple others, and unfortunately, I didn't write them down. But yeah, it's interesting how how closely related to these movies we all are at the end of the day.
I had one other that almost made the list, and I was certain it was going to be an overlap, and that was Hans Gruber.
Oh, that was on my list as well. Yeah. I figured that was going to be an overlap, which is why I didn't use it.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Another one that I almost put up there, but it was hard to pinpoint because he's not really the villain of the movie. It's just something that stuck out as a kid. But the Never-Ending Story, you have the Nothing. But at the end of the movie, you have that damn wolf.
Oh, that fun! Yeah, the tool of the darkness or Nothing.
You have the wolf that scarred me for dogs that look like that. It was just it was obviously primitive puppeteering at the time because it's in shadows, but it's done just enough with the glowing eyes, the snarling snout, and you tack that on to the first goddamn swamp that. Took the horse. Brutal movie.
No, Atreyu was the boy. What was the Artax?
Artax.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got Atreyu breaking down in tears and that's hard.
That scene hit me hard.
I haven't watched that movie since I was a kid.
Yes, but I couldn't pinpoint what I wanted to put. Because the Nothing is the villain, but so I could. Hard to narrow down. Anybody have any surprises? Not like ones that you hadn't thought of. For me, the Last Boy Scout one was not one I ever would have thought of. That's a good one.
No, I wouldn't have even thought of that one. Not off the top of my head.
Fifth Element. I kind of regret not bumping that guy up. Such an odd performance that just stands out. So this time of the show, we're going to go around and just kind of say what we're watching these days, listening to, playing, whatever media pitch you want to go for. So Aaron, what's on your media pitch list this week?
So for this week, I would like to say it's a little animated series that just got renewed for its second season, or I should say it just put out its second season. And it's kind of a non-anthology collection of animated shorts, mostly animated shorts that I would highly recommend everybody watching. It's called Love, Death, and Robots. Have you guys, either of you guys ever watched any of those? It's excellent. There are some, like the first season, there was like 18 little episodes. Second season, I think, got 8, and they're coming out with a third season also with 8. So they split up the next 2 seasons. First season was absolutely exceptional. Second one kind of dipped a little, but there's still some pretty good episodes in there. It is adult-rated content. Think if you've ever seen the movie Heavy Metal, 80s animated movie, it's definitely some adult content in there, but it's still great. So I would highly recommend that one.
Heavy Metal just makes me think of that South Park episode. I can't remember which character's dad, but he's like, I couldn't stay away from your rocking boobs.
But yeah, well, like speaking of heavy metal, when Elon Musk launched the Tesla into space with the astronaut sitting at the steering wheel,
the car,
that was
yeah.
straight out of the intro of heavy metal, man.
With "Don't Panic" on the console.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was great. So that's a twofer there.
We should get Elon on the podcast.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and pencil him in? I'll be sure to be there for it.
Bud, let him know that we're open, and he should contact us.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'll let him know. Have him pencil you guys in.
People contact his people.
Yeah.
What about you, Bud? What is there any shows or movies you watched recently that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like shows and movies go, I just finished up Loki. I've been kind of knee deep in the Marvel universe lately, so Loki was a great show. I was pretty excited because that's another great villain, by the way. Too bad it didn't fall within our timeline, but
that's true.
Yeah, and he's a great villain that turned out to be. It's a villain that you root
no spoilers.
For.
I haven't watched.
Oh yeah. Okay. So right, yeah, we won't since it's recent, we won't get into it. But it's good. This is
a villain from all the previous ones that everyone still rooted for, even though he was technically one of the bad guys.
Exactly. He was the villain that was always destined to fail, which made him so remarkable in that light.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll agree with you. Watch Loki. It is totally worth it. Especially watch Loki before you watch any of the other movies aside from Black Widow.
Yeah, yeah. And so Black Widow is another one that I just finished up. I just finished up Black Widow. That was all right. It was good. Definitely, they're getting heavy into the CGI now. I think a lot more than they used to. But it was still good. I mean, the storyline was still good. And then during my spare time when I'm not watching new stuff, I'm rewatching Red versus Blue right now. So
nice.
That got us through so many boring days and nights in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
waiting for every Tuesday for that 5-minute clip to drop.
Exactly.
Which led to the great quote. Hey, you guys ever notice that something weird happens every 5 minutes, Randy?
For anyone who's never seen Red versus Blue, just go to YouTube and type it in. Red versus Blue. You'll be entertained for a long time.
And watch all of it. I actually think it's on Netflix now.
Is it?
Is it really?
I want to say it's on one of the streaming things. So they got rights to at least the original 5.
If I could find a way to watch it without the video endings, because YouTube videos and the last 30 seconds, you've got to hey, you should subscribe to our channel.
Right.
So if I can go from episode to episode to episode in a more streamlined manner, that would be a better
I've seen 2 different cuts out there. I've seen the original one where you can watch each individual 5-minute episode, and I've also seen the ones where they cut the entire season into one.
Yeah, I want to watch like each season.
And I don't
one
like
long thing.
And I actually don't recommend that. I recommend watching them as individual cuts because it flows better for the comedic timing.
I can go either way. I've seen them so many times it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
So in my research for preparing for this little episode, I stumbled across a YouTube video for the DGs singing "You Should Be Dancing." That looks weird. That's Dave Grohl.
How in God's name did this relate to top 5 villains?
Never you mind. But anyway. So Foo Fighters put out an album called Pale Satin. It is an album of Bee Gees covers. And it's this brand new. You've got You Should Be Dancing, Night Fever, Tragedy. And it's not, high art of hard rock, but it's a fun album. And because I'm actually a fan of Bee Gees music. They're catchy. They're good pop songs. And there's plenty of metal versions of these out there. But if the whole album's good to listen to. I bought it just off watching that one video. But you see Dave Grohl having a blast. You see everybody. I mean, they're just playing Bee Gees tunes, and it's fun. It's a fun album. So I recommend it. It's a good listen. Again, there's other albums from the Foo Fighters that are high art. They're a great band, which just says that I love that the Foo Fighters are at a place where they can just do whatever the hell they want. They're like, you know what? Let's just do a couple of Bee Gees covers and call it a day. They're doing whatever the hell they want. And it's fun. So
yeah.
It's from the DGs. So DEEGEE.
I see what you did there.
And it's called Hail Satin.
Hail Satin.
So, Bud, thank you for joining us today on this special bonus episode. Appreciate you coming, and I'm sure you'll be on again as we do more bonus episodes and or whatever movies you have tagged in our list that you want to be a part of.
And it was great being with you guys and spending the time to go over our top fives, which we've done, I think, on several occasions over several beers, over several evenings, I'm sure. So, no, I'm super excited about coming back at another point in time, and thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, brother.
And don't worry about a self-promotion for me. I don't really want to pitch anything. It's all good, but I appreciate it. I don't expect anybody to come over from Brazil to do flight training. So
don't forget Romania, man.
Yeah, apparently we're huge in Romania. I have no idea why. Yeah. Brazil dropped us. Now
we're not complaining, mind you. We love you, Romania. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you for listening, and we hope you stay with us through this little experiment. What did you think of our bonus episode? Who were your favorite villains? Let us know through the socials, and we'll be sure to tell you how wrong you are.
Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating or review wherever you listen. They really do help the podcast. Check out our website in the show notes to see the full list of movies we'll be covering and our rankings thus far. We will be back soon with our review of Tin Cup.
Dun, dun, dun.
And he ruined it. No, you ruined it. We'll see you next time on Cinema Decon.
Cinema Decon.